Hello guys, today we'll be reviewing chapter 2. So I'll start with factoring. So if you're given uh, algebraic expression and you have to factor, the first thing you do is you look for a common factor. If there is no common factor, then you have to look for how many terms are there. Is it a trinomial or a binomial or a expression with 4 terms? So if you just look at the first one is a simple trinomial, right? And why is it simple? Because it's a 1 here. And now we have to find two numbers whose product is minus 28 and the sum is negative 3. And the numbers are minus 7 and 4. So once we factor them, we got x minus 7 and x plus 4. Okay. Now if you just look at b here, again, we don't have a common factor here, right? And it's two terms, and now you have to check whether it's a difference of squares. So I can see that I can write 36x squared as 6x whole square and 25 as 5 square. So the factors will be 6x minus 5 and 6x plus 5. Okay, now come to the c. Okay, here c is basically a perfect square trinomial. So here you can see that a minus b square equals a square minus 2ab plus b square. So you can write 9x squared as 3x whole square, and plus 49 is basically 7 square, and the middle term is minus 2 times 3x times 7, right? So this is my a, this is my b, and this is 2ab. So it will be 3x minus 7 whole square. You can just leave it like that, or you can write 3x minus 7 times 3x minus 7. Okay, when it's come to d, it's again a trinomial with no common factor, but this is a complex trinomial because of that too. So we got the numbers. Product is minus 30 and the sum is negative 7. So we figure out the numbers are negative 10 and 3. And then because it's a complex trinomial, we divide both numbers with 2. So 3 over 2, and this number, if you simplify that, it's become negative 5. So it means we can write it as x minus 5. And for that, we'll write 2x plus 3. So these are the factors. Okay. Last question of factoring. Again, it has 4 terms with no common factor. But if you look at these two, there is no common factor, right? So in that case, we just rearranged everything. And now if you just look at that, that's again a perfect square trinomial, right? So it is a plus 5 whole square minus b square. So it's now a difference of square, and then I can write a plus 5. I don't need to write the bracket here. So I can just simply write a plus 5 minus b and a plus 5 plus b. And that's my answer. I can't simplify it any further. Okay, so that was about factoring. The next question is determine whether the pair of expression is equivalent. So you're given two expression and you have to check whether they are equivalent. So in that case, normally the first one is where we can expand and simplify. So for expanding, I just multiplied it, the first two, these two, and using the FOIL, and then I can write 1 minus 2x as 1 minus 2x times 1 minus 2x, and then I multiplied everything. And now because it's a minus here, so when I expand this bracket, I should take care that it's a negative 1 here. So it is negative 1 plus 4x negative 4x squared. And now I just write the like terms together. So 3x negative 4x means negative x squared, and 5x plus 4x is plus 9x, and minus 2 minus 1 is minus 3. Okay, now if you just compare this expression, right? So what I got here is this expression. And if you just compare it with this expression, they're not the same, right? So we will say that the expressions are not equivalent. Okay, next question is when you have to simplify a rational expression and state restriction on the variable. Okay, so just look at this question here. In the denominator and the numerator, we have only one term, so we can't factor it. So, and first you write the restriction. So in the denominator, we have two variables. So the restriction is x is not equal to 0 and y is not equal to 0, right? And then we simplify. So negative 5 divided by 10 is negative 1 over 2. And x cubed divided by x is x squared. And y2 divided by y3 is y minus 1. And then I can write the negative exponent in the denominator. So I can write negative x squared over 2y. So that's my answer. Okay, for the next question, in the denominator and the numerator, I have binomials. So I factor out the common factor. And again, I have two variables, right? This is a, and that's my 3 minus b, a factor, right? So from the first one, a is not equal to 0. And from this one, I can say 3 is not equal to b, which is same as b is not equal to 3. Okay, and then I just cancel out the common factor. So if I cancel out the common factor, I can cancel out a, but here if you just look at that, that is b minus 3, but it's 3 minus b. So what I can do, I can write this as this one as minus 2, 3 minus b, divided by 3, 3 minus b, right? And now that cancelled out, I'm left with minus 2 over 3. So remember one thing, if you have 1 minus x, you can always write it as minus x minus 1. Okay. Next question is the same thing. Here you have to multiply. So here I multiply the numerator and the denominator. So I got this. Before I simplify, I state the restriction, two variables again. So x is not equal to 0, y is not equal to 0. Okay, 18 and 12 can be divided by 6. So it's 3 over 2, x to the power of 1 and y to the power of negative 2. You know, when we divide, we subtract. So it's 3x divided by 2y squared. Okay, next question is you have to multiply two rational expressions. So here what I did, first I factor everything in the denominator and the numerator. X minus 1 square, I can write it as x minus 1 times x minus 1. In the denominator, I have trinomials, so I just factor them. Okay, now before I cancel out, I will state the restriction. So just look at all the factors in the denominator. So x is not equal to 1, negative 3, negative 1, and negative 3, right? Okay. So now just cancel out what I can cancel. X plus 1 cancel out with x plus 1. X minus 1 cancel out with x minus 1. And that's it, right? So what I'm left with is x plus 1 times x minus 1, x plus 1, x minus 1 divided by x plus 3 and x plus 3. I can leave it like that, that's fine, or I can write it as x plus 1, x minus 1 divided by x squared minus 9. Okay, so that's my answer. Next question is you have to divide two rational expressions. So what I did, first thing is I'll change this division into multiplication by flipping it. X minus 2 over x squared minus 25, which is the difference of squares. So when I will factor, it will be x minus 5 and x plus 5, right? Okay, and same I did here. I took the common factor, and here it's a trinomial, so I factor that. Okay, before I do anything, I need to write the restriction. And remember one thing, when you're dividing to rational expression, and when it comes to the restriction for this one, I will have to write the restriction for both numerator and denominator. So from here, from these two, the restriction is x is not equal to 2. From this and this, I have x is not equal to 5 and negative 5. And from here, I have x is not equal to 2, which is already here, right? So I need not to write it twice. Okay, so these are my restriction, and now I cancel out the common factors. So x minus 2 is gone, x plus 5 is gone, and I'm left with 2 divided by x minus 2 and x minus 5. So that's my answer. Next question is we have to subtract two rational expressions. So what I did here is that was the difference of squares, so I factored that. And now I will write the lowest common denominator, right? So I have a t minus 4 in both of the fractions, t minus 4 here, but this t plus 4 is not in the, is in my denominator, lowest common denominator. So I have to have same common denominator. So what I will do, I will multiply it with t plus 4. So t plus 4 and t plus 4, right? And now you can see that I have same denominator. So I wrote the denominator, and then it is 2t and t plus 4 and minus 5t. And I'll just simplify that. And before you do that, just write the restriction. So t is not equal to 4 and negative 4. And now multiply that. It's like that, right? So it is 2t squared plus 8t minus 5t divided by t minus 4 and t plus 4. Okay, and here I can simplify it further. So 2t squared plus 3t divided by t minus 4 t plus 4. So that's my answer. Okay, next question is, again, here in this question we have multiple operations. There's a division and then addition, right? So first I'll change the division into multiplication. I flip that, and then I factored the denominator, right? It's just x plus 1 times x plus 1. And now I'll write the restrictions. So because I was dividing this whole expression, so I have to write the restriction for both numerator and the denominator. So the restriction for this is x is not equal to 3. For these two, x is not equal to negative 1. And for this one, x is not equal to 2. Okay, once I have my restriction, I multiply that, and what cancel out here, x plus 1 cancel out with x plus 1, right? And I'm left with 2 minus x, and the denominator is 4, x minus 3 and x plus 1. Okay, and the second fraction is just the same, right? Now I look at the lowest common denominator. So here, all the factors here and this, they're all different factors, right? Nothing is common factor here. So I will, for lowest common denominator, I will basically multiply all of them, right? So that's my lowest common denominator. And then what I will do, I will multiply this with x minus 2, right? To have the same denominator. And here I will multiply with 4. So I can write it as 4 times x plus 1, x minus 3, and x plus 1. And same I'll do here, x minus 3, x plus 1, right? And now I have the same denominator, so I wrote everything in a single fraction, and then I multiplied everything, right? These two and these. And then I got that, and then here you can just simply add or collect like terms and then simplify, you will get the answer. For the denominator, you just leave it like that, right? The denominator, just simplify, adding like terms. Okay, question number 4 is identify a rational function whose graph as a whole at x equals 3 and the vertical asymptote at x equals 5. And you know that a rational function as a whole only if we have a common factor in the denominator and the numerator. So whole at x equals 3 mean x minus 3 is a common factor in the denominator and the numerator. Okay, and we have also an asymptote at x equals 5. So it means in the denominator we have x minus 5, and we have a whole at x minus 3. So x minus 3 and x minus 3, which is a common factor, right? Yeah, that's my function, right? So, or I can just simply write it as x minus 3 over, multiply these two, it will be x squared minus 8x plus 15. So that is my function who has a whole at x equals 3 and has a vertical asymptote at x equals 5. Next question is, determine whether the pair of rational function is the given one. So here we have a rational expression. So how will I simplify the rational expression? If you ever given an algebraic expression which is not rational, normally we expand and simplify, but when it comes to the rational expression, we factor and then simplify. Okay, so I factored the denominator, okay, and I got here these are my factors, and now I write the restriction: x is not equal to 4 and negative 3, right? And now if I cancel out the common factor, I'm left with x over x minus 4. Similarly, g of x is, if I write the restriction, is x is not equal to 5 and 4. Okay, and now I cancel out the common factor, I'm left with x over x minus 4. So this is my f of x and this is my g of x, and you can see that they are the same expressions after I simplified them. So one can say that they are equivalent, but they are not equivalent because of the restrictions. So here the restrictions are different. The first one is x is not equal to 4 and negative 3, and the second one is x is not equal to 5 and 4. So two expressions cannot be equivalent if the restrictions are different. Okay, then last question is, you are given a triangle and you have to find the area, state the restriction on the variable. So you know the formula of the triangle is half of b times h, right? Half of base times height. Okay, and then you're doing question using in algebra, if your x matches with, if you use same x for cross and same x for the variable, I will say just put a dot to show that you're multiplying. Okay, we substituted the value. The base is, this is the base, right? And this is the height. So base times height. And now to simplify that, I need to factor it. So here, this is simple trinomial. The factors are x plus 1 and x plus 5. Okay, times, here I can take the common factor, 2x minus 3. And here I can write it as x plus 1 times x plus 1. Okay, and before I cancel out, I have to write the restriction. Okay, because this is a geometric figure, your side lengths cannot be negative. So for writing the restriction for these two, for example, I will write x is greater than 3, x is greater than negative 3, and for these two, I can write x is greater than negative 1, right? Okay, and now I just simplify it. I cancel out the common factors, which is x minus 3 and x minus 3, x plus 1 and x plus 1. So I'm left with 2x plus 5 divided by x plus 3 and x plus 1, and that's half, right? So this 2 also cancels out, right? I'm left with x plus 5 over x plus 3 and x plus 1. So that is my final answer. And that's it for the review. Thank you so much.